Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to a recap of night number 75 of Big Brother Season 26. A happy Wednesday to all of y'all. All right, if you didn't catch all of last night's feeds, if you were busy watching baseball playoffs or the vice presidential debate or just enjoying the outdoors while you could, you didn't miss a whole lot of anything. Pretty quiet night in the Big Brother house. Pretty quiet day. Everyone is just waiting at this point in time for HOH on Thursday for the eviction to move on to the next phase. We had one conversation last night that you can even call gameplay, right? So we will certainly cover that, but kind of a quiet, uneventful night in the Big Brother house. But I'll still cover every bit of it. All right, let's talk about, first of all, what we do know, where we stand. Mackenzie is HOH. She also held the veto. Now, she still could have a role come Thursday because there is a possibility you could have a tie and she could break it. So maybe Mackenzie still has a little more power left this week. But Chemo and Rabina are on the block. It certainly seems like Chemo is the target. I think everyone, including Chemo, understands it at this point, which is one of the reasons that the house is a little bit quiet right now. So we do have that. Again, it sounds like remember, Mackenzie doesn't vote since she's HOH. Chemo and Rabina are on the block. So it comes down to Chelsea and Cam casting their votes this week. Only two people. Hey, it only takes one and then the tiebreaker. And they're both planning to vote out Chemo. So it is what it is. All right, let's talk about the feeds themselves and what happened. Again, not a lot of game talk, but we'll cover some of the other stuff as well. House guests certainly starting to see the end of the game and thinking about life that suddenly won't involve being woken up and wearing battery packs and showering and going using restrooms while other people are hanging out and all the stuff you deal with in Big Brother. We'll start off with Chemo and Mackenzie talking. They're talking about other TV opportunities for themselves and other house guests. Both of them would happily do the reindeer games if invited back. They're wondering how, especially Mackenzie, she's saying, I wonder how the viewers see us, not from a gameplay standpoint, but just from a personality standpoint. Do they like us? Do they hate us? Are they tired of us? She's saying, she'd like to think that in addition to being athletic and all that, that she could be fun, personality and all that. You do wonder when you're in that house, how have I been portrayed? Because even though the live feeds are supposed to be 24 hours, it's easy to spin things a little differently. I remember in there thinking, was I just portrayed as, you don't know whether I was thinking, was I portrayed as just the old goofy old guy that didn't have a clue what was going on in the house or the person that fought to the end? Mackenzie's wondering how she's portrayed. When they'll find out here pretty quick. They're wondering about that. They're talking about other shows. They both think Tucker would be fantastic to go on the challenge. They're talking about who they thought were the cutest in the cast this season. I'm not sure if they're talking about in real life or in their BB comics. I wasn't quite certain on that. But Mackenzie's talking about Brooklyn. Of everyone else, was incredibly beautiful. And again, I'm not sure exactly if it's specific to the comics or just overall, but talking about how cute the cast was and calling out quite a few of the different people specifically. All right. We do have a little bug in the house, apparently. And we're not talking about ants in the backyard. We haven't heard them talk about that. Now, I don't know. During Janky World, while they were outdoors, did they bring in a exterminator? For all I know, they just set off a bug bomb while everyone was outside, and maybe that was the purpose of it. Haven't heard much about ants lately. Nah, this is a different kind of bug. This is the illness bug. Apparently, Chelsea feeling a little bit sick, staying in a rock bedroom. At one point, they brought her some different oh, I forgot what they call it, the cold treatments, things like that. So yeah, she's just not feeling fantastic. She did come out later and eat and hang out with everyone else, but at least to start the day, just feeling a little bit under the weather. Part of it's probably being locked inside that Big Brother house with a whole lot of stale air. It does it to you. But she does that. Later, Mackenzie starts feeling bad as well, and Chelsea was saying, "Hey, go take a hot shower, do something to." Trying to make it a little bit better. So yeah, a few people not feeling fantastic in the house. They had ramen for lunch. I don't know how much ramen they fixed. And we just saw on the episode Sunday, them making fun of Chemo and his eating. Well, it didn't improve any eating a lot of ramen. Chemo fixed, I don't know, half a dozen packages of ramen. They all ate that. I bet they're kind of missing Leah right now and her fried chicken and some of the stuff that she cooked up. Yeah, they've resorted now to packaged, dump it in boiling water type ramen, which actually sounds pretty good to me right now. But yeah, they had a little ramen for lunch. Cam is now writing Instagrams, or I'm not Instagram. Cam's now writing Big Brother songs and singing them, so he's joining in with Chemo on the songwriting phase. Later, there's he's singing. Later, there's more singing from Chemo. Just kill me now. Again, neither one of them are horrible. So I'm not complaining about the singing at all. I just don't want to hear the same songs over and over again. But both of them are singing along, doing different songs a little bit. Mackenzie, late afternoon, decides to fix a cake. They had some leftover frosting or leftover cake mix from previous birthdays. So Mackenzie's fixing a cake. It takes hours for this cake because she's trying to give instructions to the cameras as well. So preparing for her stint on the Food Network, I suppose. But Mackenzie's fixing a cake. Eventually, she finishes up chocolate cake, white frosting. She tries to spell out Big Brother on the top. Gets, I think, to about Big Brought. And kind of has to squeeze in the HER at the end. But Big Brother, Final Five written on the bottom. Hey, they get cake. Who cares what it looks like? They got cake, and everyone appreciated that. So props to Mackenzie for making a cake for the evening. All right, we did have hot water back in the house, which is good if they're feeling a little down. Apparently, they had a lockdown earlier in the day. Maybe they were fixing some of the plumbing issues. Not sure. But they had hot water, at least for a little while. Sounds like it may have gone out again. But hot water, according to Chemo at one point. Chelsea does talk to the cameras for a little bit. Primary thing to get out of that is she's saying that Cam is the person that she's most annoyed living with right now. I don't know that she means in terms of gameplay, but just hanging around people kind of deal. Just a little irritated with Cam right now. I'm sure his gameplay maybe has something to do with that. But she's saying he's the most annoyed to be living with right now by the time he starts showing up, so she has to shut it down. She is saying that if he suddenly wins HOH on Thursday night and starts playing the game of Big Brother on day number 80, that she will go insane. There is some concern from her and Mackenzie that Cam could suddenly get this thing started up, dominate the last few competitions, potentially send one of them out the door, and maybe both of them pull Rubina. They are a little bit worried about that. So Chelsea's saying if he suddenly starts playing this game now, yeah, I'm not going to be happy. All right, we've got Mackenzie and Chelsea talking. The one game strategy type talk of the evening that I caught, and this is the two of them talking, trying to decide who goes home, not on Thursday because that's settled on Chemo. Now, who goes home next? Should it be, obviously not the two of them. So next person out the door, should it be Cam or should it be Rubina? It seems they've got a final three with Cam, right? So you would think Rubina's out the door, but you also do have this women's alliance, which I don't think that Chelsea or Mackenzie is on board the way Rubina is. I'm not even convinced Rubina's on board with it. It's just a spin, I think, to help keep her in the game. I could be wrong. There probably is more to it than that. I don't know if that's the primary driving factor for any of them. But they're trying to decide who goes home next, Cam or Rubina. Mackenzie is saying, it started off with Mackenzie kind of bringing this up to Chelsea, and Chelsea flipped it around on Mackenzie saying, what do you think? Who do you want to go home? She's trying to get information from Mackenzie, and throughout this conversation, Chelsea really doesn't reveal a lot of information herself about which way she's leaning. Chelsea's still playing a good game. But anyway, she's asking Mackenzie about, well, what do you think? Cam or Rubina next? What do you think? Mackenzie's saying that her heart wants to keep Cam. That's the way her heart's leaning. But she is worried that she has a better chance of winning at final three if she's up against Rubina as opposed to Cam. And she says, Cam could suddenly turn this on and maybe surprise us and win some comps and just play a different game than he's played so far. which could impact us. She said Rubina's going to be Rubina no matter what. Yeah, she won one comp, but she's not going to suddenly turn it on. She's not throwing comps or anything like that previously. So Rubina's Rubina. So my heart says keep Cam, but my head's saying that maybe Rubina's a little bit less of a threat than Cam is. So I'm a little bit torn here. She does tell Chelsea that her worst case scenario would be if Rubina wins HOH, so now she's safe, advances to the final three, and that Cam then wins veto. Then Cam has to decide who goes home between Chelsea and Mackenzie. And Mackenzie says, I know Cam's going to take you, Chelsea, over me. So if Rubina wins HOH, Cam wins veto, then I'm probably done at that point in time. Chelsea is saying, Mackenzie is saying she is aware that if Chelsea, remember this, Mackenzie can't play for HOH, so that scenario is non-existent. So she's talking about worst case, Rubina winning HOH. She's also saying, Chelsea, I also am aware that if you were to win HOH, then you don't have any control at that point. It's whoever is not HOH and wins veto that gets to decide. She says, so if you were to win HOH, you can't do anything to control who goes home. And getting rid of me would, she said, I realize that would be a smart move for either Rubina or Cam to send me out the door at that point in time. So she's a little bit worried about that as well. And let's talk about how that works as well. If you win HOH, you're safe. You go to the final three, right? But it's whoever wins veto that decides who goes home. Now, Chelsea at one point says, yeah, but if I win HOH, but then I still win veto, then I can control who goes home. Well, actually not. It still doesn't matter. If Chelsea won HOH and she won veto, she would control, I guess she kind of controls it. Chelsea would control which two people go up on the block, which you would think that she would pick Cam and Rubina. Maybe not. But let's just say Cam and Rubina. She would pick Cam and Rubina because she owns a veto. She could make sure that those two stay on the block, but it would then come down to Mackenzie to actually pick who goes home. So if at this next stage, if at Final Four, the HOH winner also wins veto, then they basically then have the power to protect one of the final three people. But that person who's protected then decides who the final person is to stay. So just an FYI, and I know that because we dealt with the same thing when Nicole was HOH, and we were trying to figure out different scenarios during my season. So there you go. But yeah, so Mackenzie's certainly seeing a lot of ways in which she could potentially go home next week if things don't go their way. She at one point says, look, I know that I'm in trouble next week, and that there could be things that could get me out the door. She says, I'm just grateful I've gone this far. Hopefully that's not the case, but I do understand very precarious position starting next Thursday. Chelsea, as I said before, Chelsea was a little less forthcoming with information. This was mainly her asking Mackenzie questions and Mackenzie just talking about everything, which if they make it to a final two, it's just more ammunition for Chelsea in terms of talking about who she is willing to get rid of, what Mackenzie's thinking was. Information is golden in this house. All right. House guests sitting around after that talking about which former house guests will follow them on social media. I'll follow them all. I've tried to follow a lot of them. If I'm missing any of them, I follow all of them. Yeah, the ones that I'm huge fans of, the ones that I'm just kind of little fans of. I follow them all. No, not everyone does that, though. And they're talking about which former house guests will be following them, in addition to other people as well that may follow them. Chemo says that Drake might follow Rubina after this. Cam wants Ariana Grande to follow him so he can write a song for her. They're wondering if their Kardashians maybe watch Big Brother and would follow them. Well, the Kardashians didn't follow me after my season. If they didn't reach out and follow me, then obviously they're not Big Brother fans, right? Yeah, we'll just keep saying it. But I don't know, maybe they are fans. Hey, if you're hey, Kardashian family, if any of y'all are watching Cliff Notes, reach out to me. I'd love to have you host guest on here. Yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one. All right, we have Cam singing his song again. The other house guests are begging him to sing his song. while using their little baby voices. So he starts to sing, and I start to channel surf. But they stop that after a little while. Eventually, Chelsea has said that Cam is not in the HOH room while this is said, but Chelsea says that when it comes to the rap party at the end of the season, that she'll make out with Cam as part of the rap party, and everyone else is on the floor cheering and laughing and crying and everything else with the idea of that. So yeah, Chelsea saying she'll make out with him at the rap party and make up for lost time, I suppose, and not in front of the cameras. From that point on, the rest of the evening, Cam comes back right afterwards. What are y'all laughing at? Oh, nothing. It's got to do with the rap party. It's a gift. It's a surprise. And he was a little nervous at first. I think he finally figured out it didn't really have anything to do with game, but he kept saying, "Yeah, you gotta tell me. No, you're gonna find out a rap party. It'll be good though, and all that." But he asked for quite a while afterwards. Well, what are y'all talking about? What's going on here? Yeah, they never did tell him as far as I saw. But Chelsea's making plans for afterwards. Chemo reports that the showers are cold again, so yeah, just not quite figuring out yet. Production. Rubina and Chemo finally, kind of as they tend to do, have their late night conversation. They're both hoping their communities will be proud of their game, how they played the game. They're wondering how the jury house, how sequester will work, things like that. Just as an FYI, Chemo, if he goes home this week, which we expect, he will go to the jury house for a week. He's the only one. The third place person, we'll just say Rubina for the sake of saying. Third place there. The fourth place person, Rubina, does not go to the jury house. I was fourth place, so I kind of know how it works. She'll go to a sequester spot, do the jury roundtable instead, and then stay at a sequester spot because they shut down the jury house after the jury roundtable. So yes, Chemo gets to enjoy jury house for just a little bit. Rubina, Cam, Mackenzie, whoever it may be, not so much. And then the final three obviously stay in the house for the last week. And if you could reduce it to just a day or two instead, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But they're wondering how the jury house and sequester and all that stuff works. They're talking about last season, and all the house guests got a house together. It's been the last few seasons. The house guests have stayed at Todrick's house and all of that. My season, half the cast went to Vegas. My family was in LA. I love my house guests, but not enough to hang around with them any longer than I had to when my family was in town. So we saw all the sights of LA and had a blast doing that. But yeah, for the past few seasons, house guests either at Todrick's house or getting a house have just decided to hang around with each other for just a little bit longer. So they're talking about that a little bit. They're talking about getting matching tattoos once they get out of the house. They're excited to see T-Core. They talk a little bit about game regrets. I think Rubina brought this up, said, "Hey, Chemo, any regrets about the game you played so far?" And he says, "Well, not really." He says, "I do wish that we had included Leah in more things. It made her a little tighter with the group and all of that. And that may have been kind of nice." Rubina's wishing that Rubina, I don't remember if she said if she was still here or if she'd stayed a little bit longer, but Rubina wishing that Brooklyn had maybe had a little bit longer gameplay as well, that they both agree that would have been nice to have her and get to know her a little bit more than they got to. So yeah, no major regrets with the way they played the game of Big Brother. They're pretty happy with the way it's gone and hoping people enjoyed, especially from their communities, enjoyed, watched, respected the games they played. So yeah, just kind of reminiscing a little bit as they shut down the house for the evening. And with that, everyone in bed by 3:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30 or so, Big Brother time, getting their rest in. Today's Wednesday. I don't expect anything different to happen. They're just biding their time at this point until Thursday comes along. We'll see. Maybe there'll be some huge blow up, but I absolutely doubt it. But we'll see. I'll be watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning to let you know what may or may not have been discussed. Probably a lot of non-game talk, which I'll cover, and maybe a little game talk as well. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, SKD143. Cheers, my friends.